Startup Grind is the initiative from Silicon Valley, established in 2010. And the whole idea is to build and to strengthen startup communities around the world in each of the city. Currently, Startup Grind is covering and operating in 200 cities, 85 countries. So this is the global network. And basically being organized events in cities monthly and created opportunities for people from startups or specialists interested in establishing a startup, just to meet, network, get new ideas, and to communicate and to grow.
And do business, probably.
And do business, yes. And today we have Ramune. Ramune is a digital advertising specialist. She has worked in a startup. She has her own company. So she will share her experience and and everything, what happened, bad and good, and what she learned from it, what challenges she faced, and what she could share about it. Yeah.
Probably I have a lot more to share than we have time for, but hopefully I will give you something valuable.
Yeah.
So Indra will make sure of that.
I will. Yeah, so I will interview her, and afterwards, feel free to give questions to her during the event or after the interview in that networking another hour. So to start with, just tell about yourself, about your personal life.
About my personal life? Okay, so my introduction to digital was probably at the time when I decided to graduate from high school online. That was probably the thing that most of my friends and people that I met in the years later on were surprised about.
What do you mean?
I was learning online
Okay.
for the whole last year of my high school.
Okay.
So I was preparing for the exams.
Why did you decide to do that?
In the 11th grade, when we start to go through the course of 10 years, the first 10 years of high school, we start to repeat the things and memorize them and then do good on exams. So I was always a very good student, and I was learning for the 10 years. And during the year when we had to go through all of the things that I already knew before, it was making me actually mad, and I didn't want to waste my time sitting in the classes. And I really got into a lot of trouble at school because I started skipping classes, and I was going to volunteer to do the real work, how I saw it at the time. I remember sitting in the classroom and looking at my watch every 5-10 minutes when I do the task in half the time that the other students would do it, and I would think about to-do lists that I have to do for my youth organization that I was volunteering in at the time. I was the advertising coordinator there.
Okay.
And I was doing fundraising for the organization, so I had a lot of meetings with business companies, with our partner organizations. I was managing a group of volunteers myself. So I was thinking about that, and that was a lot more interesting to me. I felt that I was creating value, I was appreciated there, and then I was just sitting and doing nothing in the school.
And wasting your time, basically.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Certainly the teachers didn't think that way.
Sure.
Yeah, and I had a lot of frustration for the first half a year. To try to sort of change the system, or to explain to everybody that I can do the things that you need me to do, and then leave, or maybe I can do them faster or do more of it even, or do something to do to me while I'm sitting there. Nothing actually worked. So I've decided to Google if you can find any other solutions. And I just remember that I Googled high school online and I found something.
Okay.
And then I made a decision that I definitely have to do that next year, because I was, by the time, in the middle of the second semester, so I thought that would be much simpler to come and start at the beginning of the next year.
Okay, and then you could live your life and volunteer and do
Yes.
things that are more important for you.
So I've planned that up until Christmas, in 4 months, I want to do everything that I need to do for the year. Hand in all of the assignments, do the tests, because the tests were available. It just you had to log in and you have an hour and that's it. But it doesn't matter if you do that on September or December or whatever.
Okay. And
so
how did it go for you? I mean, how did you
very
manage?
well.
Okay.
Actually, I had planned the same kind of schedule that I had in 11th grade. So I would start at 8, and I would, do the schoolwork up until 2 or 3 p.m. And I would work like that for 4 days a week. So I had Friday free.
Good.
Just to keep me motivated, sort of. That was part of it. And yeah, and I handed in all of the tasks up until Christmas, and then my plan was to get ready for my exams.
And you graduated. What's next? Did you enter into any university?
Yes, I've started studying in Denmark in Fashion Marketing and Business Academy.
Okay.
That was the only one I've found in Europe that would be specialized in fashion business.
Why
so
fashion?
They had a lot of different, specialities they were offering. The designers, the pattern designers, the sales, the marketing, the buyers. Why fashion? I was creating clothing since I was 14.
Okay.
And that's for the clients. Well, that's kind of funny because those were, very little kind of tasks. I would do the skirt for someone, or
someone who comes to the 14.
Yeah. Well, I figured out that there were freewebs.com, I guess.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly, but I think I've used freewebs.com. So I've created the website and I've uploaded the pictures of the things that I've done myself. And my father taught me how to create, how to design, how to create the patterns, and how to use the machines. So and then I figured out that it's not enough to have the website or the portfolio. You have to somehow create the traffic. So what I did, I used Skelbilte, which is the Craigslist of Lithuania. It's the first one. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
So you
what I
already
did.
started to be an entrepreneur, and
No,
also
but I didn't think about that
Okay.
way that time.
Your studies. What was very excited? What did you gain from them? What was different than others?
Well, I didn't study anywhere in Lithuania, so I could only compare to the image that I've heard of. I was studying in the academy, which basically is a lot of work, a lot of project-based work that we had to do.
Okay.
Each week we would get the case company, like case study. We would get a briefing of the company and the problem, and then we would have to team up with classmates from other specialities so that each field would be covered.
Okay.
And for the week we would work on that task. We would have to deliver either the suggestion for the sustainable collection with the whole thing, like with created patterns, a few of them, the sample materials, the budget for the materials and the suppliers that we could find, and the marketing plan, as much as we could, figure out. It could be anything. It could be the sample website or.
Okay, so basically practice, practice, practice.
A lot
What was your aim? Why did you study that? What were you wishing
well,
to happen?
I chose marketing specifically because I found that, well, I thought, I was so arrogant at that time, to think that that I already knew how to create clothing. I thought that I was doing it very well, and I didn't know how to sell it. And of course there was the profession of sales, but I thought that was not as interesting. At the time I thought it was more related with the budgets and deciding the price, making the whole strategical thing of creating the offer for the client. So I thought I had that kind of as well.
Okay.
So I decided to do the marketing.
Okay, so when talking about your again becoming an entrepreneur, a real one, could you tell more about your idea? How did you come up with it, and what did you do in order to accomplish your goals?
Well, when we started Industry Files, that's the project. At the time, my friend, my partner, my classmate, actually from Denmark, she was working in Germany, and she has created one German blogger network, which is essentially influencer network, the internet influencer network, as we now know it. It was a very new thing. She was doing the network for the brand.
Okay.
For the New Yorker clothing. So she was doing content marketing at the time, and her main focus or experience was to, how to work with the bloggers, how to connect independent content creators, and how to partner with them early on when they're just starting, and how to help them grow as well, They would also help your brand grow.
Okay.
So I was working with advertising, and we always had, things in common, and we talked about our projects a lot. And I was just back from Denmark, where in Scandinavia, actually, bloggers were very strong since 2008, or maybe even earlier than that. And we both had a feeling that, nobody's actually doing it in the Baltics. And we felt in Scandinavia, when we would go out somewhere and we would say that we're from Lithuania, and, everybody knows where Lithuania is there. But they would be so keen to get to know the culture, how we're different, what we're doing. And at the time, since we were in fashion, like a lot of fashion trends were sort of directed towards Asia or Baltics and Russia, like a lot of fewer accessories, a lot of sort of military style clothing.
Okay.
Well, that was an interest in the Europe at the time. We felt that there are no bloggers that could communicate it. To the Europeans and maybe to the brands that would want to work with the Baltics. So we have created the blogger network.
In order to change the content marketing, or to change what? To do what?
Well, we wanted to do a lot of things. The basic idea was, the value that we would offer the reader, because we had our own website where we would upload the content about the bloggers, about the influencers, about the celebrities and talented people within the fashion and lifestyle, the creative industries. So the value for the reader would be that he would get to know the culture and maybe get some contacts, get some ideas of what's possible to make here. But on our side, we wanted to start working with bloggers early on, to be the first ones, because we were sure that content marketing is going to happen, because it is happening already in Scandinavia, and it's very profitable and it's very professional there. So we felt like we could learn a lot from there.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was initial idea.
How was it going?
I think we've started too early, but maybe, came up. I don't know. I'm not sure, but definitely the market was not ready for that, because, both. It's not the businesses that didn't understand the value of bloggers. Actually, the problem was with the bloggers, because we found very talented people, but maybe we were inexperienced and they didn't really decide to work towards that. It was most of the time the habit, or, just the hobby, the side job, or just the fun thing to do.
Not involved enough.
Some of them were not
Engaged?
involved enough. Some of them would fail the projects that were paid for from the companies. Some of them would get really distracted and just think too much about their brand, because they would put a lot of pressure on who I am and who I want to be, and that discourages a person from doing stuff. Because you want to take time and you want to figure out how you want to look and what you want to show, and we will touch that later on.
Okay. So what was the decision you took to close it, or
Well,
not
naturally,
to move so
we've
fast?
just since we have had contact with some of the brands, we've started working as an agency.
Okay.
But it was a side job for us as well. So we just once in a while we would do the project with the brand. When we come up with the idea, or the brand would come to us, and because we've done a few projects with Loftus. It's an entertainment, creative entertainment place, let's say, in Lithuania. So we've done some activities and some projects with highly valuable partners, I would think, and we've done a great job with that. And there were people that noticed, and they wanted us to do some work. So actually, we never did any sales proactively.
So word by word.
Yeah,
the
but
information
from time to
came.
time we would get an order, or just people asking us to help to do something with this or that. And also we had contacts of the bloggers already, and we were analyzing the market, so probably we were the best to talk to about finding someone specifically.
Sure. And by doing that, you already managed to start participating in another startups establishment or development.
Actually, at that time, it was probably my interest to get to know how we could work more effectively. So I came up with the idea that I should create for myself, for freelance professional, I have decided to spend a day with a startup. So at that time, the first startups were getting the investments in Lithuania, and there were a couple of them. So I thought that, okay, they must know, or are in the process of getting to know a lot of things that I don't know about. And I know a lot about advertising, when none of them at the time had any marketing people in.
Sure.
So I thought that I could be of value to them, and I would, just see how it works, what they're doing, what they're focusing on. So I suggested to the startups that they would invite me for a day into their office, and I could do whatever they want me to do. Like some of them would sit me down and say, okay, we're not doing newsletters, and we really have to, but I don't know how to create the content or how to do the first draft. What numbers should I look at? How often should I send it? So I would just sit with one team member, and we would do that all day. There were cases when I would write copies for them, for the banners or for the website. There were some startups that just wanted me to go through everything they have, like their draft emails for the users, their whole website, all of the materials that they have, and just suggest something strategically, or do the basic, just work, just sit there and do the text or something.
And how did you end it at Tokelte and Laspel currently?
So I'm not really sure how it happened, but I was recommended by Practica Capital to one of the startups. I think they've noticed me in the corridors because I was visiting
Spending
startups.
a lot of time there.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, they must have heard that I'm just going and doing this,
And
but I was doing it for myself. So yeah, and I was specialized in fashion marketing, and then the fashion sort of beauty startup came up, and they were looking for a marketing person, and they got me.
Okay, so yeah, so what did you do? Could you briefly describe the project?
So in the beginning, there were two of us.
You and the founder.
Yes.
Okay.
So he was programming a bit, but he's not a programmer. And, just managing the budget and dealing with the investors. We received our investment 4 months after I've started working. I was doing all of the marketing work inside and outside, meaning I was preparing the material for the communication. We were working very strongly with Facebook at the time. We've started working a lot with YouTube and YouTube bloggers, dealing with the partners, sending emails to the users, doing the tests on the platform, with the newsletters, all that.
Okay.
Actually, it's a lot of different tasks, and since we're only the two of us, I was also participating in the process of hiring other people.
So very closely working together
Yeah,
in order
deciding
to achieve what?
which country we should enter next. Yeah.
So what challenges did you have? And how was it going? And
well, all kinds of
you
challenges. The startup is a very high-risk organization. That's precisely the reason they get investments, because it's very risky, but it's also big wins if you're successful. So we've also faced a lot of technological and economical and political challenges inside and outside, and entering new markets. But I wouldn't really even focus on the growth. A lot of startuppers, they talk about the challenge to enter the other culture or other market. I would think that we had more challenges inside the company, because it's really hard to manage the whole process and the whole, the team of people when you're growing fast. Meaning, a lot of things are changing daily. We would change website daily. We would make decisions to test different campaigns daily, and it's challenging also for the employees to work on something for a week, and you decide, okay, this is what we're testing, this is the best way to do it, and then something happens, and then you change it. like totally. Nothing gets used from what you did the whole last week.
Okay.
So this is just the one example, but it's really hard to keep up the spirits and to tell people that it's not your fault, and it's it's just the process. We're testing things, and you cannot fall in love with anything in the startup, really.
Okay. What were the things you were successful at?
We were very successful at generating traffic and getting new users,
Okay.
specifically through Facebook. Oh, I'm so proud of this. Actually, we did have a consultant from Facebook. The idea or the goal of it was to create the best strategy and the best advertising for when we will launch in the new markets. And we had, I think, about 40 hours of consulting to do, but we've done only a few of them because the consultant saw our portfolio and how we were managing the ads, and she said, "Okay, guys, you're paying for the ads, for the website click ads, which actually take user out of the Facebook for 0 litas at the time. So it was 0.00 and then some numbers."
Okay.
So she said, "I mean, I don't really know what to advise you because you're paying nothing right now." So we were doing that very good.
So what techniques, what strategy did you use in order to have this situation?
Yeah. Well, actually, a lot of times we would use the content that was in our platform. In our platform, the beauty specialists, makeup artists, nail artists, they would upload their work, their portfolio, the pictures, and the videos of how to make it, tutorials. And we would use that in the advertising. Of course,
so
we had to select
your users a lot in order to get more users, right?
Yeah.
A lot of engagement.
Well, it is the topic that is, very popular among our target group. I mean, women they like the topic in general. I think we were lucky because...
So it was not difficult doing that?
Well, it took us some time to test and to get the feeling of which specific content is, the cheapest in the advertising, which is the most engaging. But it was easy in terms, there were two very helpful things. We had a very wide and huge target group. It was women from 14 to 45.
Okay.
So it's a very wide part of, and then it was the topic that they were very interested in. Like, it was very visual, and they all did that in some way.
Okay.
Whether you do your makeup on your own, you want to see how the professionals do it, you want to learn it, or you do it when you go to the specialist, then you can look for the new specialist that's doing even better. So, yeah, I think the circumstances were very, very good for us.
Okay, what was not so successful?
Also a lot of things. But the main lesson that I personally took from the experience, I think we were acting too safe for a startup. We had a lot of success with attracting traffic and getting users in Lithuania and also in other countries. So we were doing the plan. We were reaching our KPIs.
So started thinking about saving money, basically, right?
Well, I think we were thinking about it since the beginning. But since we get to pay nothing for the advertising, then that's another deal. I think. I mean, the plan was that we had the strategy to use the investment and to reach certain goals. And then we thought, okay, then we have to save a little bit of money, at least for half a year, in case something goes wrong, to shift the strategy, or, just to have this...
to have time for doing.
Yeah, to have more time to find new investors or to shift the product and so on. So we always had that in mind, and I think that was a mistake. I would... I mean, of course, it's a human nature to try to do safely, to make safe decisions. But I would focus on the fact that this is why we got the investment in the first place. As I said, it's high risk and it has to be high wins. So you have to take the risk. That's what the money is for, essentially. You don't have to waste it. That's not what I'm saying.
What was wrong with saving and acting safe?
Well, it takes a lot more time. When you make safe decisions, you maybe cut out some of the testing. Like you do, instead of 5 things, you do 3 things or 2 things, and you think that, okay, that's kind of enough. We will save a little bit, and I think that's wrong. I would do a lot more testing and invest more into that early on, and just save time.
Okay, and try more options.
Yeah, save time, not save money. And that's what I was saying. So, because it took for us really too long to choose the country to enter. For example, we did some testing, but then we were strategizing a lot. We were meeting consultants and other startups, and talking to potential investors about potential markets. And I think it's all good, but it's taking time, and you don't have time. So I would just probably spend money on just entering, and after a week you can go out. Like right now, I would say so. Just do it, and you'll see.
Just do it.
Yeah, well, we did the market tests for 5 countries, and then we've selected one, and then we entered one, and that was a mistake. I would say that you have to enter, well, maybe not 5, you have to enter 3 at the same time and watch how it goes. Because what happened when we entered one was actually we had nothing to compare it with. Like, you are reaching your numbers, your goals, but your goals are, you don't know what's really the good result. I mean, you're just hoping, okay.
So that country you entered was which one?
It was Sweden.
Sweden.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good market.
But you were already operating here in
Yes.
Lithuania, so you had something what to compare with.
I don't think it's a good thing to compare it to, because when it was started here, it was not a startup. It started just as an idea, as a project, and it was operating for 2 years at that time. So, the whole growth path and the strategies and the sort of image, we already had it here, and of course we knew the users, we know the markets. None of the investors or us would never took it as the country to be some kind of example of how we're able to grow.
So you mentioned that word mistake, and so how did it end it with Tokia LT or La Spell?
Well, we had a lot of discussions of what to do, and is it a good result? Is it a bad? Should we enter some other market? Try it there, compare it there, and so on. And we actually didn't do a lot of work for the 2 months, and so it happened that the majority of the employees left, and I left as well. Actually, we just were thinking too much or discussing too much. There were different opinions, and we've just basically wasted time to
do something,
to decide what to do, because that's what I said. It's very important to have the sort of structure how you make decisions. And since this is the first ever time you have to make this decision, there's no system, you know, and there are investors, there are employees, there are you know, the founders that have other kinds of opinions, and there are outside consultants, there are other startups, and a lot of you know, people who have different opinions. So
Okay, but so still, the project itself was not successful. It didn't end so successfully. But
as
you
a startup, not successful,
Yeah.
totally not.
But you gained something like, for example,
course.
that advertising or more like PR or branding
So
experience.
actually, the project is still there. It's there in Lithuania. What I've gained is the understanding of how growth hacking works.
Okay.
And I've realized that before that I was working with sales and retail, shoe retail in the Baltics. So at that time I was very focused on making sales. And the process was, you know, sometimes it's efficient, sometimes not. Most of the time you do what you can in the situation. I mean, you have a lot of employees, you have a huge company with 300 people, and most of the things or processes, they're just there for, you know, 20 years. And in the startup, I've noticed that when you're small, you can change things really fast, and you can change everything if you're an online business. And I've realized that there's a gap, because there are a lot of retail companies and organizations that they could actually benefit so much, because if the startup and the small company can, you know, save money after testing something, for example, huge companies could save a lot more, and they can earn a lot more. But they didn't know that. They didn't know the strategies. They didn't know how to work the process. What is growth hacking?
Okay. So you stopped working for Lespel,
Yes.
but you continue working with your agency, right? With If agency, and most of the people mostly know you on Instagram, right? How many followers you have there?
Today or tomorrow will be 36,000.
36,000.
I don't know if they really know me.
Okay, but they do follow you. Why? And what
I
could
would
you?
tell a story I've told you before. Actually, it illustrates it very well. I was in the blogger meeting, because obviously now I'm the blogger, I'm the influencer, so I get invited into such events where the bloggers meet. And one of the bloggers came to me and she said, you know, I'm doing all the strategies they say you have to do for the Instagram, but my following is just, you know, 10,000 or something. And I said, okay, show me your account. I just, you know, I don't know what kind of content you are creating. So she showed me, and then I didn't really think about it. I just said, you know, it's too good. It's too editorial. It's too clean. It's too perfect. You're doing it so well. Like, she was doing it so well.
So what, people cannot relate it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I think, because actually with the Instagram, I've started working as a test for the startup. I didn't want to test different strategies and tricks with the brand account, so I've decided, okay, I have 396, I guess, something like that, followers, and it doesn't matter. I can create another account if, you know, something happens. So I thought that, okay, I'm gonna test different posting times, different topics, different filters, different hashtags, commenting others' posts, liking others' posts, resharing, reposting, and all kinds of those things. And I've started doing it. I've started seeing some traction and people, talking to me and following me. And then I've decided, okay, so I can do the same with the brand account. I've started doing that. And then I thought, so people are actually, my numbers are growing way faster than the brand's numbers, which is natural because people always relate more to a person.
Sure.
They're interested in people more than brands. So I thought, okay, this is going kind of well, so I'm going to continue doing that, and I'm going to, grow my numbers and my engagement, and then sort of lead people towards the brand, and just mention the brand once in a while, and then sort of direct them to our service. And it was going really, really great.
So did you found it like a perfect formula or strategy you could implement?
I don't think there's ever
anything?
any formula, really.
Okay.
Because
what is it then?
Because different things work for different people and different brands. There are brands that could, for example, act like a person. I'm sure you know the examples of these. They share their daily moments. And they have a certain character, and they tell stories and so on. But some brands, they cannot be a person, like the bank, for example. It's just not going to work. See you as a different kind of thing, and you need to be credible, and you have to be cleaner, and you have to be, a little bit more editorial.
Of course.
For that reason. I didn't have to be a tutorial, even though actually a lot of my colleagues from fashion, and especially the stylists and the designers that have, let's just call it, good taste. They are sophisticated and educated in the field, and they have, they have a need for a certain quality of the content. So they were actually making fun of me because I was sometimes I was making pictures that are just. You can see it's not prepared and it's just on the way. It's not good if it's every time. Like, for now, I see that one picture in, 6 or 8, it has to be a fail, sort of, There has to be a content, there has to be the value, something new, or the picture itself, or the comment, or, there has to be something interesting, but it doesn't have to be all pretty. It can be just natural. And that works very well for me because people can relate to me more. They remember that, okay, this is not a magazine, this is, this is not some kind of brand with a whole bunch of people working backstage and just.
Okay, so you have to be more personal.
Yeah, but I really I didn't think about it before we talked about it. It's just natural because I'm uploading pictures and content at least one time a day. I should do more. I know I should do more, and it will definitely work. Right now, the recommendations are actually in the field that you should upload 10 to 12
times
posts,
per day.
Yeah, a day, which means that you're not supposed to create content the way we are used to creating content on Instagram.
It's too complicated then.
You have to document things, and that's what Snapchat is all about. That's what Instagram Stories is all about. That's what Facebook Live and Periscope and everything that's live is not. You can make the setting. You can prepare. You can have notes what you're gonna say. You can prepare pictures to show or something like that. You have to do the work, but it's not edited. It's not. It's just documented and it's there for delivery.
Okay.
When mostly on Instagram right now. Well, it's changing, but it's mostly photo shoots with professionals made few weeks or even months before it's posted. And it's
so basically imitating. that
Well,
documentation?
yeah, the accounts with millions of users, it's a work. I mean, you
Okay.
can see that most of the pictures that have very good quality, they're made with professional cameras. They're not made with phone and the app itself. Not the app. I mean, never the app. It's yeah. I don't know why they have the function in Instagram of that, because really, like the accounts that would grow very fast and have a lot of following, they would never use it. Now they use the stories probably because they have to, because they have to stay relevant. But yeah, you would never post pictures just like that.
Okay, so we're basically out of time almost. So the last question would be, could you share your insights about the industry, more like the future of the industry? How do you see it coming, and also what niches do you see? What people like startuppers or entrepreneurs should focus now, here locally or in any other market?
Well, so I think it's going less editorial, and I mean it in a wider perspective. I think I really love UX designers, but they are the professionals that have sophisticated taste.
Okay.
And when I was working with sales and also in the startup, because we had a very wide target group, I've noticed that really what's very well made in the terms high professionals, it's the better it is, the more gap there is between the mass of people and those professionals. So of course only testing could tell you exactly what works, but too few companies, too few people do the testing or even know how to do it correctly. But I would say that just less editorial and less clean up finished work, that's the tendency. For the professionals, I would probably have very personal advice. So there are a few points. So first of all, I would recommend going just very, very narrow and very specific when you...
To focus a lot on something? Yeah?
Yeah, just focusing in terms of what do you do, what do you work with, but also presenting yourself to others. You have to be very, very specific. Like, I don't know, how many lawyers do you know, or how many marketing people do you know? Marketer or a lawyer doesn't say anything right now. And, the more time goes forward, the more you need to be very, very, I don't know, you can say, I'm the lawyer for the, people in the medicine who do private practice.
Okay.
That's so specific. And it's not to brag about. I mean, it has to be the topic or the field which you're prioritizing, and you want to work with that, and that is interesting. It gives you two advantages. First of all, people can remember that so much easier. Like, you have to give people tools to recommend you and, to just give you work in general. And the other one, when you have cleared that topic that's yours, you can find everything about it. You can move forward so much faster when you're focusing on something.
And be updated all the time.
Yeah. The second thing I would, I'm actually mentoring for a few students each year. So I get a lot of questions about the professional courses and academies, specifically actually advertising academies that are fresh in the market in Lithuania. And I would just, I don't know, I would say don't waste your money, really, because it costs a lot. And as an advantage, they say that you get to work with real cases, like the real brands. So, but you also get that if you go to work to the agency directly. I mean, you can work for free for a month, for 2 months. You wouldn't have to pay for it. And the next thing, you wouldn't be in the classroom with other people learning about it and, some mentor telling you things, you will be in the agency, inside, seeing how people work, talking with programmers, talking with, totally.
Okay.
Just, so in general, just less courses. If you want to take courses, there are so many free of them online. YouTube, Coursera, whatever. Just Google it. And just do the real work for free to start with. And the third thing, I would say it has been very valuable for me to learn the specifics of my company or organization where I was at the time, meaning when I was working in the agency, I would learn a little bit design because I was giving tasks for the designers. And I'm not a technological person myself, but I know how to make it. And I know when people are lying to me. Now I know, because I've done that. I know how long it takes to do a certain task. I know basically what kind of possibilities there are, so I can brief people more. I could get more out of the specialists in the field, and it could be anything. Any people that you work with in your company, the partners, the people you hire, whatever. Just try a little bit of these things. Try to code yourself a little bit, just so you know just if you want better relationships at work as well, it really helps, because if you try it yourself, you know what's the process. You can relate to other person better.
And understand better.
Yeah, you can understand it better, and your relationship gets better. What work is way better that way.
So focus, specialize in something, but take it still as much as you can in order to be successful. Yeah. Great. Thank you so much for sharing, good and bad. Is anyone who would have a question and would like to ask Ramune something? Or, okay.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
So this event is called Startup Grind. I would like to ask both ladies individually what the word grind means for you from your experience.
From our experience, I believe when you do something with starting something, everything comes from the grind, right? It's inevitable.
I really have no comment.
Yeah. So you all the time, every day, you have to dig in somewhere and to get something out, right?
I will rephrase perhaps.
Okay.
I have experience with startups, so I know what grind means. But there are a lot of people who are first time here and that they are just thinking about doing some startup work. So I'm assuming you have, or you obviously have, I know that's about you, experience from the past. So you know the word grind, what it means. So perhaps you can give some examples what the grind means, how much work is that, and in hours, in a month.
Then you meet with the team, and then you have a really in-depth discussion about what you've done in, I don't know, for 2 hours, and that's very exhausting. For me, a lot of work, it doesn't cover it. That's why you asked. But it's, I would say it's not hard to do. Physically, it's very emotionally draining. It's very hard to motivate yourself, and especially to motivate your team if you have to motivate your team, and if you're the one that hired them, you have to. It is also very hard to keep track of all of the things happening because, well, for us, for example, we were 2 people and then we grew into 6. And there's a lot of happening because obviously 5 other people are doing something, but you have to be focused on what they're doing, in depth as well. It's not general understanding what they're doing and what kind of problems they're solving. So imagine that if at work you have your own problem to solve today, you also have 5 other problems to solve, because even though the other person is responsible for, solving it for the next 5 hours, you are thinking about it, obviously, and it is related to your problem and so on. So, and there are a lot of problems at the same time in different fields. I mean, something with the user, something with the website, something with the partner who's waiting for the offer or something like that, something with the investor. You have to do something with the team because you are hiring a new person. Then you have to take care of that person you're hiring. I mean, it's a lot of issues light up all at the same time, and it's daily. I mean, it's, yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds not very attractive.
But it's very interesting, and it's a lot of place to grow professionally and personally.
That's the main issue, I believe. Okay. Does anyone else has a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
You mentioned a couple of times growth hacking.
Yes.
And it's quite an interesting term. Became popular within last year. Could you mention any examples you use growth hacking to help grow your company? Like what you did exactly, and what you learned. It's an very interesting topic.
Well, it would take a lot of time to, talk in depth, but growth hacking essentially is trying to reach the best result with no money or very, very little money. And the idea of it is that you test a lot of things simultaneously, and you try to work around existing strategies. Yeah.
Like maybe utilize something in a media campaign or a landing page where you use some kind of a...
Well, actually, yeah, I could tell one sort of lesson that I sort of mentioned before. We were testing banners in social media, posts and banners that worked, and this is why I think a lot of companies don't use it and don't get the benefits of it. They don't try to test bad content, for example. I mean, the thing or the picture that you think is bad and it's not interesting, no one ever gets the idea to test it, because it's, for you as a person, it's so, I mean, you know that. You have a feeling, you have an opinion, you don't do that, especially if in your startup you have, very highly valued and professional team members, which you always do, hopefully. It's so natural. I mean, people just don't even think about it. They don't. For the example, my example would be that we had a lot of content, good and bad, right, uploaded to the website. And when you come to our website, in the landing page, in the main page, you see the content that has been just uploaded. So actually our moderators didn't have the time to go through it, probably, especially if it's evening time or nighttime. So there would come up, some ridiculous photos sometimes, or just bad quality pictures, and what we considered not interesting or not good quality enough. And that was a mistake, because sometimes when I would use one of those images and upload it to the Facebook ad, it would be, the one that would get clicked the most. Mm-hmm. So that could be, yeah, but this would be one of the, scenarios or the ideas to try to test the unthinkable, like the things that you take for granted that it cannot be that it works. Mm-hmm. I had the same experience with the banner campaign in advertising agency. We were doing the test with the fast credit company. Mm-hmm. And our designers, actually we gave the task for a few designers. So they have created awesome banners, and we sent them, and they didn't work. as well. They didn't get clicked and so forth. And we had an agreement with the client that we would track, the how it works, and we had to give them, very good traffic, and we agreed on making sales for them, basically. Our pay depended on that, let's say like that. So we did that for education purposes as an agency. And when they said that, okay, guys, it's not really working, they're all really nice, but we realized that, okay, we have to do something else. So we basically just tested ugly and just too bright and too colorful, and the banners with a lot of big letters, and I mean they were ugly. All of the people in the agency were laughing because they said, oh my god, this is so like 2001 or 2000 or whatever, and it cannot be that this would work. But somehow we just made them, but mainly we did them mainly because the designers were pissed and they thought that the client was just joking around, and they thought, okay, I'm gonna give them the banners. So, and they worked very well for that kind of brand, for that kind of target group, But yeah, that was a huge lesson.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, good. So I think we could, just to close this interview, we'll have 1 hour more for networking. So if you have any questions in your mind, feel free to approach Ramune and ask her in person. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you for the invitation, and congratulations with the hopefully very awesome start.
Yes. Okay, thank you.